Hi, I'm Gabor Toth Roland, and again, I'm the celebration of the Ai-Xtech GmbH, STEC, Ai-Xtech GmbH, and well again, a broadcast that is not pre-announced. And this is what will be discussed today. And you said a couple again to do that. Many people talked about torides and torsion spacetime. That's right, that's right. For the past 40 years, many have talked about it. That's right. But don't be wrong. Who is? Who could show something? Who has shown something so far? Because every performance has duma. Expose Chinese products, expose Chinese capsules, or say you go to the next show, and the next performance is how expensive it was. I should say more slowly, because it will appear in English in AI. So today it will be a torsion space-time model. I'll tell you slowly the basics that everyone can really understand because the base will be simple. It is very simple. I also tell you how you can try this at home, and if you can't try it at home, I'll tell you how you can observe in nature. That's what today's video will be. Not about God, not the creator, though. It would make sense to tell and explain it. It would make sense because we are in a field of consciousness. Consciousness field. What is your quantum? Time is the quantum. And you can look like this little. This looks like I show it. This looks like that. But to get so far, we start from the beginning quickly. And I say not only is the duma, but I can show you how you can try it because no one has shown it so far. Look, many people lead spiritual programs. There are big channels who can bring together different, beautifully edited programs, and this is a fantastic thing in itself. Only half information feeds on this problem. For example, car mechanics became telling people, or someone was anointed. But they can't really show anything. In fact, they only usually sell Chinese capsules. Or their own small products. I'm not talking about how you can make a capsule or how to produce a product. I'm talking about the truth how this reality works. And to understand this, you have to go under quantum levels. To do this, imagine what an atom looks like. As you can imagine this, imagine it. It doesn't matter to me to imagine. Let's look at the first component, which is the smallest, maybe the electron. Can you determine what the electron is from? From energy, you say. But obviously, it should also be quarks, because something must be the electron, the energy should be something. What will you find within the quarks? But we can also look at the proton or neutron, it doesn't matter. You will only find quarks and energy lords or energy rings. And again, ask the question of what these energy strings and energy spaces come from. You will see that this comes from quantum fluctuation, so it has a vibration, a wave of space-time, and it only appears from somewhere. Well, we can't dig deeper. There is no microscope here, there is no electron microscope, and so far it has been thought to have no effect that would be perceived by this field, this space. So, we do not have any sensors that we can actually perceive, unfortunately. At least so far they thought so. But Nikola Tesla, he had very interesting insights about energy and time. And now I don't want to go through this story. He invented radiant energy, but we didn't understand how it works and we don't use it. We don't use it because we don't know how it works. Do you have a disadvantage? Have an advantage? What dangers you have? There would be a lot of benefits, but I don't want to go into it right now, not an energy show. I want you to understand that. So we're still on such a Planck level somewhere. So we can't look deeper then. Still, the Russians for some reason assumed whether there was a spin movement. In the whole universe, the stars can be observed as stars, planets, atoms also rotate as they move and spin. What gives him the energy? What gives the galaxies the energy? What gives you the momentum? What gives you the rush to be able to spin on the galaxy? What gives the area to the atoms, which is small, so much? It is exactly the same way and can be noticed in nature, but at the moment there is no physical rule. No physical rule. I say again, there is no physical rule for why it works. Why is this spin movement everywhere? What is this spin at all in nature? Well, you have to look under the qualitative levels what it is. How can you look at what this is? I would like to draw attention to Nikola Tesla's experiment when he created electrostatic shock waves. These electrostatic shock waves operate in the conductive bodies placed around them, and a force pointing to them, thus, is as if an exhaust force appears. So once again, I say more slowly to try to understand it somehow. An exhausting force is in the aluminum foil as if something was trying to suck the energy. Let's look at this. The easiest way we can examine is that we make an Avraменko plug. These are just two diodes. You can try any Schottky diode. BAV weak is a good diode, but if you do not find a BAV weak, but something else, try it. So if it works on the basis, chances are it will work. And to drive with 4 angles. You grab the bottom here, and where you do not have to catch it, but you can connect a conductive body here. You no longer have to grab it. You drive it here with 4 angles. And it will indicate this conductive energy that is absorbed in the material. Where does it go? This cannot be static electricity. Static electricity alone does not know that. There can be no electromagnetism and ion process. This is not afraid. It can be. It may not be that the energy is in every conductor body placed around it without the effect of the issuer. So, there can only be gummy shock waves, and negatively tropic shock waves. Where can this come from? What atom can you expel this? What electromagnetic sign can this be? Electromagnetism at all? You can't. So we know that, to our current physical knowledge, we know that it is impossible. This cannot be an electromagnetic wave. Then what kind of gravity would be? It may be, but we do not know how gravity works. So we do not know how the gravity wave works. It may be, we can say that, but not proof. So what is this? Well, to illustrate this, I will turn on a plasma sphere that you buy, and I hope it will work. I turned it on, the experiment, I hope it would work. I turn off all kinds of AI backgrounds to see what I'm talking about at all. Into this little thing, this. There is only a 4-angular generator below, a little small transformer. On a single wire. It is connected to this on a wire when high voltage is formed, but only on a wire. Impulsive, actually energy impulses are produced. And it is tied to this gas-filling gum. And that's what it does. It looks so simple, it really goes in a rectangular generator, a bit transformable, nothing extra. Really nothing extra. If you connect a capacitor, you can produce more impulses. But that's all. But let's see that. whether this really has the release of some shock wave I am talking about. So I will take the Avraменko plugget. And this aluminum foil is going to be pressed below, so you will actually get its rectangle, impulses, shock waves from below, and I do it because they are spherical shock waves, and as the shock wave comes in, it enters the aluminum and spreads to the LED. Let's see if it works. This is a live broadcast, so I don't know that he takes a live stall. So far I haven't seen it in any lecturer. It would really be here that you are not just pushing the AI shit. Right. I say this as I am the managing director of Ai-Xtech GmbH, but we only use AI for translations, so if this video is made, this video will appear in English. We use AI for that. Different. Not very much, but let's see what's the matter with this. Now it's okay if I saw it at first. Oops, look at it. You see, even wirelessly, the LED is lit. Yes, this is wirelessly energy. Good thought. Oh, it means. And if I say 100 LEDs. And for all hundreds, here where I will connect a conductive body, all hundreds would light. So that this energy recording does not change. So it is not an electromagnetic wave, it is proven, they are static electrical or actually static energy waves. I say static time is energy gas waves. Because electromagnetism does not know that, we have just agreed that the current physical model may be unable to do what it does here. It's such a simple thing you do. If you do not have a plasma sphere, then drive it smoothly with a rectangular generator on a wire so. Well, look, very simple. You buy a rectangular generator. You can connect it and it will light it. But if you don't have a rectangle, you can make it a piece of MOSFET or a piece of transistor, so it's an absolutely simple thing. And you can see that it will work to the mind that, according to physical knowledge, this is impossible. As physics describes this, negative entropic conductive energy cannot appear. Shocking gummy stroke waves and especially not. Because they haven't thought so far in such waves. But where does it come from? How does it work? Where it comes from? And what it is? You are rightly asking the question, dear viewer. And remember that this is not the first video I show that it works. This can also be viewed with a xenon losser tube with any plasma hop, any rectangular signal. Phase light signs need to be created, but it's very difficult, it's very deep. This is the basis. The phase complexity is based. But then let's jump back nicely to the Planck level where the quantum vibration is or quantum hub where the atoms appear, the energy level appears in it. The reality appears that this quantum hub is told lately that it is so frothy something. Well, let's look at the foam. How does the foam work inside the quantum hub? The relationship breaks, I see, so there are problems here. There are systems that do not like what I am talking about, but it is still true what I am talking about. If we look good, we will actually find one. This is a toroid, as you see. Now I'll explain to you what you see, and I don't jump in exactly how it works because it could be talked about for years. We are below the Planck level, so we're in the quantum foam. We looked at what the space looks like in quantum fluctuation. From where this is something we call it material, or we call it energy, or call it as time, or call it Joshua, who watches the video. So I can't leave the fun, it's just not going. I wish you a look. Because I find it funny that for 40 years, nothing has been understood. I find it very funny. You know, you are looking for the material and the antimaterial. You are looking for dark energy and dark matter. And why? Because you can't see it, the quantum foam, as its name shows, there are bubbles, and the bubbles symbolize the atoms. That's what you just notice. You do not notice the bathtub with itself what you have with water. And you ask where the material is then and where the energy is. Well, in the bathtub. But you can only touch the foam. You only notice the foam. You didn't notice anything other than that. You didn't notice what the foam was. where the foam comes from. How does it compare? What is the point? Yeah, and why do you have to drive with 4 angles? Returning to this. This is also an Avoman cos. Because the harmonics appear at this time, because otherwise one. Let me quote one of the Bibles nicely, because he is there anyway in the Bible, so when they look at other holy books, he will probably be there, not only in the Bible, but I found it in the Bible, right? How interesting, I can quote exactly, so I check it out on the internet. The daughter. This will be the Gospel of Luke. If all is true. It is also worth checking out the antecedents and not only Lacux is worth a look, but also the history, and who Lacux was. Right. This is also worth checking out. If you just say it, then it is worth a look at who he was to say. So he says that. I also tell you, ask and give, look and find. Rumble, the rectangle looks like that if it were rattling, less. Technotic. Rumble and how much you will do to you, because all who ask, gets whoever you are looking for will find, and who rumbles how much. Which father is the indirect who gives his son a snake when he asks him for fish, or when he asks for eggs, gives him Scorpio? So if you are honored for your evil existence, can you give good gifts to your children? How much does it rather give your heavenly Father a holy soul to those who ask him? This is very serious. This is very serious, which I just read. Do you know why serious? For this holy soul, this is the energy of the holy soul, this power of the holy soul, it is as it works. Do you say? As it works inside. We look at below levels of quantum and notice that there are such trees, torrents. How do we notice this? From this energy, this is the beginning of the Holy Spirit. This is the energy of the Holy Spirit, which can be called the Holy Spirit from a religious point of view. Because that's all. From this energy level, this energy, the fluctuation of time, the change of time, the dynamism of time, through the whole quantum levels and hyperters. It is in parallel universes, but you need to understand what its basis is. This is what flows from what it is from is the energy of time to flow. Look, one side is red, I made the other blue. Your favorite electromagnetic waves. Positive, negative. Repel, attract. Familiar? How can you repel? How can you attract? Well, so that this little donut. It is wound up with half a spin, so it's spinning, but the surface flows away and I'll show you one. It looks like it a lot. This is called a Rodan roll. It is not certain in itself that it makes sense, but if you compare it, yes, it makes sense. So, sorry, there is something blurred here, that there is, it is on what you should turn off. Portrait, there are reactions, you can see big are the best. This is the so-called Rodan coil. The surface flows in this way, so it flows from the outside, flowing around here. This is the quantum level I am talking to you. This is here. This looks like that. Now what did you see at radiant energy? Where does it come from? What does it come from? This is the ring. This is a level below Planck level. I say once again, Ai-Xtech. It is smaller than an atom, smaller than the electron itself, and smaller than anything you can investigate otherwise, because it is filled with its entire spatial time tissue. It is located side by side, and it can also be called quantum plasma. This is the basis for the whole reality. This is a small ring, a small donut. But what you don't know or few people know, and Master Evo explained very nicely. His video was fantastic because he started examining the radiant energy and thus the radiant energy. How it works, you need to understand how it works. Because no model, no physical or any model describes how it works at the moment. This is the quantum plasma, this ring, this toroid expands, it can grow enormous. How much? Well, if we are now Planck size, so we talk about Ai-Xtech size ranges. The level of energy and the time, its existence, and its existence can extend to light years, and light year distances. Whatever tiny, he can expand enormously. Then you can get together. This is radiant energy actually. So, as you swirl like this, you can imagine that it flows inward in this way. Quantum plasmidon is flowing inward in the energy and has a half spines turning. And that means such a twist. This is what the Russians said, that the torsion space model, that it has a torsion, has a twist. So it flows nicely and flows, so it is quite a complex whirlwind. Oops, Libisly. Shows a vortex list. How attentive were you? What does this picture remind of you? Don't look like a galaxy? Or in the middle, isn't it like a black hole? Or does it work just like a black hole? What do we say on the surface of the black hole? What? Event horizon. You know where you are? Where are we? The event in horizon, there. Upwards, is a tornado. It's a charger. You can also say that it is a positive entropic filling. Our positive time spreads towards that. Time goes towards that. This is where our time goes. This is the charger, as our reality is realized. What you perceive means that atoms are formed from quantum foam, right? This creates our reality nicely. This. But there is something down. That is what? That past. Present, future, past. And the whole vortex, this little energy ring operates it all. There's the event horizon in the middle. This is how our reality works. And this ring, when it expands, then what was really in it or is in it, there's the information, different. So he gives all things characteristic to his environment. Then he retreats. And you can control it in the form of an electric shock wave, because what is electricity? We can put any labels on it, really just energy. Only energy. Electricity is just energy. What is this? You can actually put any labels on it, it's just energy. It's just energy. Good puff, huh? And the whirlwind as you swirl like waves in space, like you imagine a lake balatone, swim in Lake Bolatum, and there are waves that raise you, right? There is a wave when they are attracted to a storm or after a storm. There are waves when they get you out to the shore because every dinner, a piece of wood, and snail because every dinner is taken to the shore here. But when there is a bigger storm, the storm may be pulling you into the middle of the Bolton. Now he will be translated into English, so they do not yet know what balatone is. In Hungary, there is a lake that is large, the largest lake in Central Europe, freshwater. They call it Lake Balaton and in Hungary. So we were swimming before. And this is how electromagnetism works. So he has a repulsive effect and so he has an attractive effect. But in fact, if you think about it, gravity works like that. And then this is how you can find a connection between gravity and electromagnetic waves, because in fact, no one else can be the basis but this. There is no other basis. This is the basis. If it's a good complex, I don't say, it's not a simple thing at all. You think that this can be pulled together, you can expand. Part of it is the Storcy, the other part, is attracted to, and here's exactly the opposite, and look at the difference of just 9 Fenech, you see. The tornado, this is the chariot, this is just 9 Fenech. This is compared to the ring, he has up and down. This is also right and left. And a little more complicated. This is the ring flow. This can be a right flow, you will support life. This better torsion ring is that if it rotates to the right, the energy is rejoiced to the right, and if it is left, it does not really support life. This is how it works. And then I started the live chat if I might have a question about this topic. And I told you how you can watch it in nature and see that everything works that way. Apart from that, I want a little for spiritual people. They say something to spiritual people, okay. Why is it that many have seen that it exists? Why is it that many have seen this, that it exists? Because many spiritual people have talked about having a field like this and it is around the person, they usually talk about it. Either that there is a torsion thing and you can send information or send me telepathically. Why is it that you could find out at all? Why is there a case of 100 wonders when the 100 wonders start washing the stones on the beach, the other or, say, wash the stones? The rest, however, on the other island, do not know how to wash the stones. The other monkeys do not know this on the other island. How do they get information from each other? Well, so that this torod can expand. And when that torod expands, that energy expands, then everything is in it. And in this case the flow of information is the same. It happens in space. It is made in the same space in all aspects. Even though it is seemingly away, it happens in the same space because he is space. He is the space, he is the time, he is energy. This is how it works. Below quantum levels. He is. Georgi Kisfaludi can tell you if you are interested in how it works. So he can tell you what energy flow, what other flows show, so what other turbulence is made up, what other flow vortex flows it is. How? So here you can really define it. How a torhio works and how it works within torhio. But these are already plenty of Planck levels, so it's a very difficult thing and very difficult for it. In theory, make devices. In practice, if you understand that this can expand, it can be easily examined from there, because from there it can be examined in macro level. And here comes the magic, and with Evra, you can examine it at the macro level. At the macros level, you get the apple of creation, because when you put it, it looks exactly like a cut apple, say, when you say it is expanded. So when it's big, and you cut it in half, it looks like half an apple. Never. Don't you dare. The Russians stopped here. The Ukrainians also scratch their heads. I have to say. 40 years. Not yesterday, they have been scratching their heads for 40 years to do what to do with it. Look, this can only be introduced into physics. So this can only be introduced into real life by doing this. And the old life of the associated life can only be introduced if two are together. And you can think about what religion was based. Because you will experience an energy field that has created. I told you in the previous video how. You can experience and see this in this way that it created it. So this is the only way. And then now you should decide which of the sections is right. Well, listen, I say to each one. So all of them really came to me. So they all found professional geometry. This is what professional geometry comes from. In the operation it contains, which Georgi Kisfaludi talks about. This is the result of this. And this inside the way they work, these are gummy shock waves, but in itself. Well, because it works inside with gummy spreading shock waves, the external manifestation, this toroid, spreads gummed, even can be gummy, and retracts. This is also a gummy shock wave after all. In other lights, as it is up, as it is out there. Exactly, fair. Now you should determine which religion is right. I say all of them are right. So, no, they all try to teach me good. Each tries to teach humanity good. And that's not saying that was just that. This must be examined, and this has been studied for years, how information is made up of what and how it comes together. Because there are time information inside, it consists of all waves and time energy. According to Kozyrev, according to Nikolai Kozyrev, this works by having an energy called time, which flows through the medium called time. So you have two time. Yin-yang, or as you would like, looked, so there was a medium called time. It's just time. There is an energy that flows through it. And the flow, because they are created by the medium, these are small torads. You are in the event horizon inside, so you are there. This is here now, this is the present moment. Look at the yin-yang for the Chinese, so the same story. Well, there is a positive, negative side, and in addition, there is a little positive on the negative side, and there is a little negative in the positive. I have to say completely. Biblical descriptions who say it is an apple of your knowledge. Do you cut it in two? Not that. Well, when I say it's bigger, it looks exactly that. Inch looks exactly that. Let's see, Mostery for me was a red, so I watched the video that there is red and explains me here apples. Okay, I see, okay. Master Evo told me how this toroid works very nicely. The funds. But it is much longer. He also talked about this charger. I say again, these realities, this reality, this is our positive reality, this is our positive time we live, this is. From this they are created, I say again, the atoms, etc. This is negative time and negative reality. And you see that it exists. So the past also exists. The same way. There is no such thing as only in your consciousness and only in your mind, I don't know where. No, physically, the past exists. And the consequence of this vortex is that it is actually staying in time, which has remained past. So who, as you do as you act, it remains nicely. And not just that. I say that this can be changed so that this little ring is rejoiced to be right or left, to swirl to the right or swirl to the left. Now, when you change this, you join another reality. Parallel universe, another dimension. Call the way you want. It doesn't matter what you call. The point is, you can look at this from that other reality. If we were to take a seat in that other start, we would take on the role of the other start, from there the full operation of it. It could be overlooked, and it could be experienced, depending on the perspective we look at. And everything that happens to you now, dear viewer, can be viewed from another reality. Dear viewer, in another reality everyone watches. At the end of the story, everyone watches what they did here, inside. From another point of view, you can look back at all. By experiencing it, yeah. And not only do you experience it, it would be loose, but with whom you, and what you have done, you will experience it from that point of view. So if, say, a soldier shoots the other one, then it will once be overwhelming that he is dead and that he has been shot. So it is transmitted from both aspects. If, say, more people are filled with it, it is transferred to each point. From the point of view of all the victims, it is transferred to reality. Reality, just like now. There is no difference. You will feel everything. It will go through everything. Therefore, it is worth considering that. Who does what in his life? Not you. The holy books try to draw attention to not be good, because if not, you will get to the blanket. You really create your own hell. So there is no Uncle Salvasos because there is no bearded Uncle Sargius. You are and your environment. And there is a creative environment with different levels of consciousness that you can't imagine, which can even dream of reality and realities in this regard. But now, don't get so much here, don't get away with it. Let's just stay here. You will leave everything again. Yeah, and how long? Well, until you learn it. Indeed. That's here. This is the game. That's why. There is no other purpose. It is not the purpose of acquiring real estate. Not to have more oils, 6 Ferrari in the garage, not that. You have more money, diamonds in your neck, not that. Not. It is only the purpose of learning. Only that. Imagine just the purpose of learning. And hopefully you always become better while learning. And you just say I don't want to hurt the other. And then you just say that it is. We live in this anyway, it is. Then I want to live well. This is the purpose of it all. There is no other purpose. You get up in the morning and ask why you woke up for that. All your atoms, everything, operates. This keeps you in existence. There is nothing without existence. If you can play any bombs, children's play is compared to existence and non-existence. Children's play. We are not there to fully influence this. Because so far for something. It was hidden for different organizations, different interests. But once again, they want to bring together the taste of some religion. I know, some global religion. I don't know what, but it can't be that if you introduce a religion that you have artificially compiled. Because sooner or later the food piece will hang out, so it doesn't work. It would work by saying that one will take from here on what he does, and knows that this can be viewed at any time and will be experienced again. That's fine. Those who were in near death should ask them what happens then. Ask them what happens then. Nowadays, some people have such a dream while they are alive. There are such dreams. How something happens to you and you think everything is fine. And you go to the other person and tell him to stand, everything is fine, hello, hello, and you think he does not react to anything. He can't react to anything. Then you notice that you are behind you and you are not in a good condition. And from here the story starts to be interesting. From here on, the journey begins. Well, until you understand. Only until then. That's how it works. Yeah, and I say, it's not enough to start a religion, that it will be good, but then give people something and see how much they can use it, isn't it? Like Egypt. When they notice where these shock waves come from, what effects they have, give people to use it with responsibility. And they know what the consequence is. They know plenty of what the consequences are because they are also on the inscriptions. Check it out. In Egypt, there is the poetry of life and death, the cycle. It is where, how long, what consequences are. It is carved there, carved in stone, carved in stone. For thousands of years he was carved into stone to see. See and understand. Well, it was spoiled. The question is, we dare, do not dare, we do it, we do not spoil it. And this is a very interesting game because we are just that. Look at these fields, they try to make me feel. For example, I have something else, a smaller version, and I was looking for it now. I would surely find it in 5 minutes, but that's enough, that's a more complicated version. Mostly spreading waves. Why? Look at the graphite. It is a human stem, it is copper there, it is aluminum, it is aluminum, and it is aluminum. With shiny aluminum surfaces, it is easiest to grasp and detect this energy. Nikolai Kozyrev. When you built your own little chamber that tried to use time energy and extended human consciousness, he also used aluminum, shiny aluminum surfaces, according to the golden section and according to the Fibonacci spiral. So that's what he created. He investigated gamma impact waves, and also examined the conscious role of this. Now this is how it works to shock wave. Here we measure a time, here too, or actually measures an energy level. Let's stay with waves, waves, don't leave the time, let's get afraid of hours, stroke waves too. How much energy do you have here? How much energy do you have here? And compares the two. It does this, it's called Vega. You are prepared for an individual order. If you are interested in you, throw an email, cost thousands of euros, so it's not a toy and extremely sensitive to how sensitive. What I did before is not to be touched, so you touch such a jogging, not that. So sensitive that if the weather is bad. With other air pressure, I slowly say for everyone that they are shock waves in the end, but the air pressure spreads slowly. So sensitive that when 1 day or 2 days later it will only. To get here, the storm, it's almost useless. So sensitive. It has a multicore cascade amplifier who is technically interested. And you know, when I talk about torsion things so far, and a torsion space collecting model, many people really caught their belly here. Oh, and these are what this sheet. Yes, this is made up of a broom hand. This can be reset. In the middle position, the analog measuring instrument will be settled if you reset it and if the axis is taped. And then you have a digital measuring instrument underneath, and they can set different games with these sets. On the other side, there are limbs. It can be grounded below, so if you want to earthen. This can be connected to the battery and then it has an output on it. You should have to be here below. And here you can fix it, so it is audio, so like a MP3 player, as I don't know what to record from a computer gap. Absolutely, ops, serious. He wins as much as I do not ruin. But thank good God, the story is not so precise. However, there were many decades before they could put it at all. And it's not made to make it a joke. This is to prove it to the new space model. And look, I think Vladimir Putin, spoke about 7 or 20 years ago, said they found a different kind of physics that works completely different from the present. What did they think they found? What do you think you were talking about? Yeah, it's Russian, haha. Very funny. Really, extremely funny. So who was the one in the videos so far? In recent years, because for years, I have been talking to you about the wavegenetics to send information with torsion fields. Check out any video of a leaf. He was a professor of Russian biological sciences. And he says that with torsion science, these energies, energy information, and biological information can be transmitted. Well, the researchers looked at it to be a torsion space-time. If what is it talking about? What is a torsion? What is a torsion? There is no torsion in atoms. If there is an electromagnetic wave, there is the atom and then there is no torsion. But well, because if you say a quad wave 0 on the light, you will say, for example, how it is torso. I pull off one of the secrets once it was secrets, huge secrets, energy, information, time, and such. This LGN, 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 LGN. It would be okay if it didn't fall, because it was not a very particular thing, nor is it so toy. This is LGN, the power supply. This is manufactured by a military laser company. There will be an individual order, and so I ordered them. I asked them if this could be done. I have such a company, so in Austria, how can it be? Well, it's good, it really might be so much thousands of euros, and then it can be. I tell you, then I would ask for one, so then make it, it will exist for me. You see, LG and LG and LG and LG and long LG and 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 LGN. It uses atomic stabilization to accurately come up with the laser. But this is not enough in itself to have torso waves to be fully added. What else do you need? What they don't say very much. But in the video I will tell you. Where do we live? How can the polarization of the light be? What is light polybory? Light can be linearly polarized or circular, right? When the light is polarized, then either goes, so it goes so deep, in a straight line, or so, so we polarize the light by some plane. Well, okay, but it can be circular polarized when we consider electrical and linearity vectors. That's how it looks like the light, it's just pushed, slipped. Face. Good, so it looks like the electrical and magnetic vector light. The light consists of an electromagnetic wave, but also has an electromagnetic component. Now we look at the electromagnetic component. How do you come from the sun in the first round? There is also a circular light in the light coming from the sun and has a linearly polished light, and has a polarized lossless light. In Hungarian, which comes from the sun, either it arrives in terms of electrical and vector, either it arrives or arrives circularly. What is circular polarization? Is that these vectors? They do not go like this, but spin. While traveling, the electrical and magnetic vector is constantly rotating. Spin describes it. Do you have a spin of light? The photo has a spin tear. Him square. Besny. Because when he examined how much the diameter of the photo, you need to have something, so you can't show that the photo has zero, some diameter when it goes, right? And the speed of light is moving on the light, so that's anything. If the light is progressed, it is ready. Okay. But the circle, A. District speed. So in the photo surface the photo is on the end of the recording, but it spins. How big is the perimeter speed? Because he turns more while progressing. So let's look at a light quantum from the side. Light quantum from the side is a lemon-like stuff and spins. So fish forward. Let's say it's going there. Okay, but it turns more. While moving, what is the perimeter speed, so that it is more than the speed of light? Is it wrong? Is it right that this could not be? Is it okay that Garjajev talked about using secondary fields? Is it right that they can extend to the same way as I have shown before? Is this the same thing? Well, that's all the mouthpiece, it's incredible. Otherwise, if you can't understand it, you can't understand that done. Then not. Then let's bring the blind, then go home, or what I know. Well, my comments here. Kozyrev has been taught for a long time. Yes, everyone say everything because everyone taught everything. Who could show something? Write down, please, who showed something? Here is Georgi Kisvodi, showing something. He showed that the lead, the ball, the button, the hell, and the collar of the plastic, there is a gap, a circular gap, a little light, a bit of light. Focus is curved, so the mass has an effect on the spread of light and had many similar insights. For example, a gravitational sensor made from the piezo. What they are still looking for such big things, so big waves, but I talked about Planck size dimensions, I beg, what a tiny wave. If I am looking for Hertz waves now, the problem is that they are looking for Hertz waves. There are no waves of Hertz. So I would like to have a good search if somewhere, or the Kurt knows what it is, by accident, it can perceive it into the position of the Earth. Because these are gummy waves. Now one of the meters senses that. He cannot perceive or examine such a thing. Because the detector is not good either. The detector should be similar. So there should be a complex detector system, not mirrors in itself. These cannot be tested with mirrors. Because they are looking for Hertz resonances, Hertz frequencies. And the spherical shock waves are not Hertzville frequencies, they are longitudinal frequencies, and longitudinal spaces about Dr. Nikola Tesla also spoke. Gummy, do you see a sphere? Ball, sphere. Gummy shock wave. And what do you try to investigate? Mirror. And with a laser. He passes through the laser. What goes through the laser? Let's see on a linearly polarized laser. What goes over? Nothing. Well, it goes through it, but the laser can't detect it is absolutely certain. The idea is bad, the concept is bad. I say that if something in the universe accidentally, so it really comes together once, for 100 years, it is certain that one is one. Planet, so interference, so planets emit shock waves, gravitational shock waves, surely something interference is done. Hertz's wave comes together and is even in the position of the Earth, and even in the position where we try to detect it. Well, there is such a coincidence. I'm not saying it is not, but I would rather do the lottery 5 rather than this. Okay, surely there, but not too common. What is in nature is much more common. Because what is in nature is there. It is quite frequency, so close to 100%, right? While what is not, its frequency is small, so zero close. But I have to explain this to the scientific professionals. Why? 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 Terrible anyway. Very rough. Rejoice. Let's race it again. I race it, but I'm sad. Look, this technology is 40 years. The Russians said for 20 years that Russians were dead. Russians said. Putin said not the Russians in general. To use something like that, we have a physical technology that you don't even turn in your mind before your dreams. And use it. Well, now they make such rockets, right? Right. Say no. What cannot even detect where it will be surprised cannot be forecasted or followed. Not to destroy, not even follow. It was still in advance for approximate, precocious so much where it is. Did you think that this should be controlled? Isn't it just like a good cocker? What technique can this be controlled? How can you work? Question. And I can't give the answer to that because it has been developed for years. We found the basics that you see, these spaces. You now know what the basics are, but not how it works because they have a job of years because I think they didn't work on it. And it's just a system we don't understand. That's what I want to say to you. We have health repair solutions on a Russian basis. And when I told Roman to listen, we have such a machine. This is such a base machine. If I turn on, where is a trafo? Now, whether you fit into it is a good question. Not, well, then I won't turn it on. But I turn everything on. At the output, the energy, that is, the of Raymond Cohn papers illuminates very nicely, the energy is indicated and the MPs are made. I asked him the question 2 years ago. That brother, anyway it works, because no, there is no, I don't know it. What static energy comes out of the connector, don't be stupid anymore. There is nothing but growth generator, right? How? Say he does not give out the technology. Now I understand why. So yes, we just did it. Because I was able to put it on you, I could show the basics, in many ways, from several aspects, not just Duma. There is also a machine, you can buy it in the web shop. This is the diff. This is the difference. We sell non-Chinese capsules. We do not sell miracles. There is already telehealing already, but this is again a category that either you believe it or not, either you understood what I was talking about or not. This is really just that question. The telehealing part. We have such a web shop. So it's bond, aixtech.eu, and you can have a fair position. You see, it comes to fairness, there is such a telehealing. Did you understand what I was talking about? That this ring, can it spread? Did you understand how information flows in it? Because I say this again, you can examine it at home, so I'm not talking about something that no. Not only can these spaces be associated with this, but it can also be connected elsewhere, which interweaves the whole thing. That's the essence. If you send information, call it a cursor, call it the way you want it, the information is pressed into it. So we have a distance solution, and we have a machine. Okhomov, Professor, Dr. Anatoly Pavlenko Okhomov developed this machine. It doesn't matter now. I just told her name that you know that it's not a cat's cat is so story. Well, we have such a machine. And we can do a photo based on a photo of you in a healthy condition and at a young age or depicted. So, it would be important to what circumstances were then, how you felt yourself. What kind of marital status, what financial conditions were there, what health condition, etc. Take this into account, send such a movie image. You pay the money, you get 3-drag gene matrix, you choose which one. So, to get something, don't just say that there was a fuck, this is my fuck, we send something, then your voice, ready, or CSA. Not. You can choose 3-drag gene matrix, wave genetic matrix, which is included in the money. Actually he is at a good price because look at how much it costs. An entry to the Miskolc Bioinformatics Clinic where we have a self-bed. Cling to if you are a new viewer because they get together. For Gallian, we put together the Haldimian ethical captain, so he was a professor of biological science, the knowledge of whom I was talking about to you, and here I was warming up with the lasers. He was the lasers. Well, make such a bed that it will be good, such therapeutic, such sound therapy, and light. So what's happening now? Now nothing strange, nothing special happens, just light and sound, nothing extra. And there is a mirror system inside, which in turn, based on the principles of Kozyrev, is assembled by the kozyrev of Nikola, you know, so time energy and stuff, you know, so. Well, so we made such a bed that there is a bioinformatics clinic in Miskolc. Miskolc, Janusz UT1. Next to Diosgia Castle. Dr. Chibizolan must be contacted. So, in this distance management story, there are 3 matrix general, 1 distance management, and an entry for half an hour in the capsule. Well, if I arouse the interest, then here. Well, he says sunlight through the water, shows a Hungarian flag, reminds me of sunlight through the water. It breaks down. Not only does it show the Hungarian flag, but tricolor. So it's not tricolor again. Or if the light was light, it behaves completely differently. In brackets. If you SPP, so you create this energy, surface placement polarity, I can't speak. Surface placement polaritone is called quantum physicists. You create this energy, apply it to the lasers. At a different angle and differently, the light is applied to it than normally, but this is examined in quantum physically. That's it. Thank you very much for watching the video. The VESUP. Let's have it because we have such a remote management solution, we have wavy matrices, you know, you see how it works, not just Duma, you can try them physically. Hi.